whenever an organization has set up, it has to come with a potential set of goals. So without any goals, we cannot set any organization. If the objectives are set too low, then it will lead to suboptimal use of resources, which we should not encourage. Business level strategy means it relates to gaining competitive advantage in one specific market. Hello everyone, I am Purnima, faculty in the Department of Commerce and Management, Vidhyaashram First Grade College, Temple of Excellence, MYSURU. Welcome to you all to this session. Now, in this session, we will be having a discussion on goals and objectives. Now, in relation to the business policy and strategic management, we have to see what are the goals and objectives. What is the meaning of the goal and what is the meaning of the word objective? Here, the goals denote what an organization hopes to accomplish in a future period of time. They represent the future state or outcome or of effort put in now. Now, here we have an explanation or we have a definition of the meaning of the word goal. So, goals denote what an organization hopes to accomplish in the future period of time. So, it is the aim for which the organizational activities are directed, and they represent the future state or outcome or effort put in now. So, the whole year they will be putting in the effort, and in the end they achieve the target. So, what we mean by the goal is the target for which all the business activities will be directed towards. A broad category of financial and non-financial issues are addressed by the goals that a firm sets. Now, what do we mean by this? A broad category of financial and non-financial issues are addressed by the goal that a firm sets. Now, what do we mean by this non-financial and financial? Suppose the goal of the organization is to have a sales of 1 lakh two-wheelers, sale of 1 lakh two-wheelers in the next year. Now, what are the financial issues here? The financial issues relate to the production. So, what is the actual production going on in the company and how they will achieve this target? Suppose the existing plant is not sufficient to produce 1 lakh units, then what should be the strategy? Should we just have a new plant, or should we just buy some all the parts from other companies and then set up, assemble our own two-wheeler? So, these are the various issues before the top management, and they have to decide how this goal has to be achieved. So, in this financial and non-financial issues, we think of ways of achieving the goal. Now, let us have a look at what are the goals and objectives. Goals denote what an organization hopes to accomplish in a future period of time. They represent the future state or outcome of effort put in now. So the goals are the targets for which the business activities are directed towards. So, whenever there is a goal or a target set for the entire organization, so all the activities will be directed towards the achievement of these goals. So, they represent the future state or outcome of effort put in now. So, whatever the effort the business community has put in, so the ultimate result will be the goal of the organization. A broad category of financial and non-financial issues are addressed by the goal that a firm sets. So, whenever a firm sets a goal, so that goal will be on the basis of the financial issues and non-financial issues. Now, what are the financial issues? So, first thing is, suppose we have set a target to achieve 1 lakh sales of that particular two-wheelers. Then, what will happen is, we have to first check whether we have the production of so many two-wheelers in our plant, and if there is no existing production capacity, then we have to set up an existing plant to get that 1 lakh production. Then, for this setting up a new plant, we need to have the finance. So, the goal will address both the financial and non-financial issues of the organization. So, it will just ask us what is the goal, and based on the goal, what are the things to be done and what are the resources to be used. So, all these things will be issued, will be looked up in the goals and objectives. Then next one, objectives are the ends that state specifically how the goal should be achieved. Now we have set a target. Now based on the target, we just scale down the plan to different management levels. So the top management will set the goal, it will set the objective, and then the next level of the management, that is the middle level, they will just see how that goal can be implemented in their level. And in the lowest level, we will be seeing the actual work which is being done. So objectives are the ends that state specifically how the goal shall be achieved. So once we set the goal, then you just scale down the goal to the various levels of the organization, that we call it as the objective. So each department will have its own objective, and based on the objective, we will be seeing that the goals are realized. So they are concrete and specific, in contrast to goals that are generalized. Now objectives are concrete and specific. So we know exactly what we have to do. Suppose the target is to get the sales of 1 lakh units in a year, then we should know for sure what is the production in our plant. So suppose there is excess demand, what do we do? Suppose there is low demand, then what do we do? So all these things will have to be thought of, and it will be in the form of objectives. So you have set a target for 1 lakh units of sale in the next year, then you have to ensure that there is a production of 1 lakh units in that particular year. So you just see that everything is as per the schedule or as per the plan laid down by the top management. So objectives are concrete and specific. So you have to be very sure in your objectives and very specific about what each department is doing in the organization. Next, in this manner, objectives makes the goal operational. While goals may be qualitative, objectives tend to be mainly quantitative in specification. Now, here we can see that difference between the objectives and goals. So, objectives makes the goal operational. So, with the help of, when you first set a goal for the organization, then the objectives will see that these goals become operational. That means how you realize the goal, what is the way through which the goals are to be realized. So that is what we mean by objective. So when each department has its own objective, it will be easy for us to make the goal operational, or the goal will be achieved easily. While goals may be qualitative, and objectives tend to be mainly quantitative in specification. That means goals are qualitative in nature. So quality means high sales. So what is high sales? It may be a rise in 25% sales, 50% sales, etc. Whereas in objectives, we say that quantitative. So we have the express the quantity. So what is the exact quantity of the two-wheelers you need to sell in the coming year? So how each department will have to work, what is the quantity of work to be done by each department in 1 month and 1 year or 15 months or weekly. So all this we will be doing in this objectives. So we are just scaling down the goal to each department, each objective, each week and each month, each individual. So for everything we set a time frame and we realize the objectives within the time frame. So any organization always has a potential set of goals. It has to exercise a choice from among these goals. This choice must be further elaborated and expressed as operational and measurable objectives. So whenever an organization has set up, it has to come with a potential set of goals. So without any goals, we cannot set any organization. So it has to exercise a choice from among these goals. So once the goal is set, then it will be easy for us to set the objectives for the entire organization. So the choice must be further elaborated and expressed as operational and measurable objectives. So once the goal setting work of the company is over, then we have to see that this goal has to be expressed as operational and measurable. So how it will be operational, how the goal will be put into action, and how we will be measuring the action. So that is what we mean by objectives. Now, the next, let us look into what is the role of objectives. Now, objectives define the organization's relationship with its environment by stating its objectives. An organization commits itself to what it has achieved for its employees, customers, and the society at large. Now, objectives defines the organization's relationship with the environment by stating its objectives. Now, we all know that any business which is set up, it will be for the benefit of the society. The business will make use of the resources from the society, whether it is the financial resources, human resources, or the technical resources. So it will be utilizing all these resources in order to produce goods and services for the benefit of the society. Now, whenever we are having an objective, the objective should be what it will be achieving for the employees of the organization. The objective defines the organization's relationship in terms of the what it will achieve for the employees, for the customers, and for the society at large. So, objectives are correlated with the employees, customers, and the society at large. Then, objectives help an organization pursue its vision and mission by defining the long-term position that an organization wishes to attain and the short-term targets to be achieved. Objectives help an organization in pursuing its vision and mission. So, we know that all the organizations will be set up with the vision and mission. So, we have already studied what is the vision of an organization and what is the mission of the organization. Here, we should understand that the objectives are set up to pursue the vision and mission of the organization. So, in relation to the vision and mission, the long-term position that an organization wishes to attain and the short-term targets to be achieved, the objectives help an organization in pursuing its vision and mission. So, whenever there is an organization, it will be with the vision and mission, and this vision and mission will let us know what are the short-term objectives and what are the long-term objectives, and in the long run, how the company will be achieving its objectives. Then, in this next slide, we see that objectives provide the basis for strategic decision making. Now, what is this strategic decision making? Now, in the third point, we see that the objectives provide the basis for strategic decision making. Now, here by drawing the attention of the strategists towards the areas wherein we need to take decisions, these objectives will help the strategists to see what are the various issues for which the decisions have to be taken. So, it draws the attention of the strategist towards the issues where we have to take certain decisions. Then, fourth one is objectives provides the standard for performance appraisal. So, as I had told you earlier, whenever we have a goal, in relation to the goal, we will be scaling down the goal. Like, so the whatever is the target for the organization, so that we will be just cutting it down to the various levels of the organization. So, the entire goal for the organization will be decided by the top level. Then, for the middle level, we will be just making all the operational goals. And lastly, for the lowest level, we will be just doing the functional level. What are the various functions for each of the persons working in the lowest level of management? So, in this way, we will be seeing that the objectives will be set for each department, that is with a time frame. So, for each department, they will be having a time frame within which the objectives have to be achieved, and then we will also be seeing what are the objectives to be set for each individual. What is the work he has to do? on a monthly basis, on a weekly basis, and on a daily basis. So when we just have this set goal for each of the individuals in the organization, it will be helpful for us to have this performance appraisal. So when each department sets the objectives for its department, then for each individual also there will be a goal, and each individual will be working, and when we set a target for him, it will be easy for us to just know whether he has reached the target or not reached the target, and if he has not reached the target, what are the reasons for not reaching the target. So in this way, we can have a performance appraisal of the objectives. So the role of objectives is very, very important in an organization. Now, next, let us have a look at what are the features of objectives. The first one is objectives should be understandable. Now, why do we say that objectives should be understandable? Because the persons who are implementing the objectives, they should know actually what is expected from them. So, the managers who will be given the goal of the organization, they should know actually what is the goal and what is the work expected of them. Only then they can just tell the subordinates what are the kind of work is expected from them and what is the work should be to be extracted from the subordinates. So, in order to see that we achieve the goals, we should set the objectives which are understood by everybody in the company. So, they should know actually what is the objective, they should understand it, and they have their own plans for their own departments. Then, next one is objectives should be concrete and specific. So, whenever we have an objective, it should always be concrete and specific. If we just say that we need to have a high sales in the next year, will that tell anything? No. Suppose we say that our aim is to have 12% increase in sales in the coming year. So when we say that, especially the 12% increase in sales, so when we are expressing it in quantitative terms, then the objective becomes more specific and more concrete. So whenever we are putting down the objectives, we should be very, very specific about them and also concrete about them. Then next one is objectives are related to a time frame. Then the manager knows the duration within which they have to be achieved. Now suppose I say that sales have to increase by 25% in the next year. So if I just say that sales are to be increased by 25%, there is no time frame at all. Then suppose I say by 2023, then it means within this year we have to increase our sales by 25%. So we have to understand that the sales, when we have a time frame within which the work has to be done, then that will be in more specific for the managers to get the work done. Then next feature of objective is objective should be measurable and controllable. So whenever we are setting the objective for each of the department, we have to see that they are in quantified terms. So if we have a target of reaching 1 lakh production unit in the year, then we have to scale it down for 12 months. So 1 lakh divided by 12. So what will be the answer? So you divide the 1 lakh divided by 12, then you will get some answer, and then after that whatever the answer you get, you divide that production target for a monthly basis, then on a weekly basis and on a daily basis. So when we just scale down the target into quantified terms, then it can be easily measurable. So we can easily measure what is the amount of work done and what is the work to be done in future. So it is easy to be measurable and controllable. So controllable means we can exactly decide what is the amount of work done and amount of work to be done and how the work is to be done. So everything will be under the control because we have everything expressed in quantified terms. Then objective should be challenging. Now what do we mean by this challenging? Suppose the objective should be a motivating factor. Suppose I tell you the sales should be increased. So sales to be increased in the next year, then this should be in specified terms as I told you earlier. So increased by 25%, I will tell you, by 25% in the next year. So this kind of a 25% increase in sales, so it should be a motivating factor for all the salesmen of the organization, and they should see that what is their share in that 25% sale, how he can just contribute to the 25% increase in sales in the coming year. So they should accept it as a challenge, and then they should work towards achievement of the goals. Now this will be good if the market is doing well. So but if the market is not doing well, and if you say that we need 100% increase in sales, then that goals will be unrealistic, or that objective will be unrealistic. Then what are the various reasons for not achieving? So all this will come under controllable. So we should see that whenever the objectives are set, they are measurable and controllable. Then objective should be challenging. Now what is the meaning of objective should be challenging? So whenever the objectives are set, we should see that they are challenging for the managers or for the employees. So it should be challenging but not unrealistic. Now what is the meaning of unrealistic? Suppose we set very high targets that employees cannot reach, then they will be just in a dilemma. So they will get demotivated. So we should set the target in such a way that it should be challenging and it should be achievable. But if we set too high a target, then that will be a demotivating factor for the employees. Then different objectives should correlate with each other. Now what do we mean by this? Different objectives should correlate with each other. So whenever we are having an objectives in the organization, we should see that all the areas connected to that objective will be just handled. So we see that whenever we set an objective, all the areas in which the objectives is connected, they will be thought of. So what each department is doing, so we have to specify, only then we can achieve the objectives of the company. Then next one is objective should be within constraints. Now what do we mean by within constraints? So any business organization, it will be working in its own environment. So we all know that the business environment has its own internal environment as well as the external environment. So what are the constraints within which the business has to work in an internal environment? And in an external environment, it may be related to government policies, the tax laws, or the ethical rules, etc. So there will be certain external rules which had to be followed, and certain internal policies. Environment also will be just be a constraint for the realization of the objectives. So keeping in view all these constraints, we have to see that the objectives are achieved within an organization. Now let us have a look into what are the levels of strategy. Now strategic decision making within an organization takes place on 3 levels. So the difference between the 3 levels of an organization is the level of at which they operate in a business. The 3 levels are the corporate level strategy, business level strategy, and the functional strategy. Now, whenever we take decisions, so the decisions will be based on the levels at which the business operates. So, we all know that the top management, middle management, and the lower management, they are the 3 levels of management. In the same way, in the levels of strategy, we come across 3 levels, that is the corporate level strategy, business level strategy, and the functional level strategy. Now, these different levels of strategy enable business leaders to set business goals from the highest corporate level to the bottom functional level. So, with the help of these levels of strategy, we can see that the business leaders, they will be able to set the corporate level strategy and they will just percolate it down to the lowest level of the strategies. Now, let us have a look into what is the meaning of corporate level strategy. The corporate level strategy is the highest point in an organization. So, the decisions made here will ultimately inform the business main goal as well as the goals of the levels further down the organization. So, in the corporate level strategy, we should understand that whatever the level of strategy, so it will be telling the business about what is the main goal of the business and how this goal has to be achieved in the lowest levels of the organization. The corporate level strategy involves the decisions that top managers make to enter and gain competitive advantage in multiple industries or markets. So, the corporate level strategy is a strategy made by the top managers of the business. So, these strategies are done to see that they gain a competitive advantage in the market. So, whether it is in the multiple industries or market, they try to see that they have a competitive advantage or their products are in a better position in the market. Then, corporate level strategy ensures that all business units are working towards the main overarching goal. So, it is also responsible for directing business strategies across multiple business units. So, we should understand that this corporate level strategies, they are directed towards the main goal of the business. So, whatever are the main goals, so it is also responsible for directing business strategies across multiple business units. So, the company has so many business units. So, for all the business units, what is the work to be done? So, that will be defined by the corporate level strategy. Then, the top strategy is concerned with how the corporate parent can add value to its business units across multiple dimensions such as the product, market scope, vertical scope and geographical scope. So, the top level strategy, so it is concerned with the top management. So, they will be thinking about what is the scope of the product. So, what company's product, how it is faring in the market and what are the various ways in which the product can be improved. Then, they will also be having strategies relating to the market scope. So, what is the present market of the company, how this market can be further enriched or how to just conquer new markets. So, all this they will be deciding. And then the vertical scope. So, vertical scope means what are the other ways in which the company can make new products into existence. And then geographic scope. Geographical scope means, so what are the various ways in which the company can expand its operations. So, all this will be coming under the corporate level strategy. Now, the next level is the business level strategy. So, in the business level strategy, it is concerned with designing ways for a business to gain a competitive advantage in a specific market. So, business level strategy means it relates to gaining competitive advantage in one specific market. So, what is the specific market for the goods, and in that specific market, how you will be just seeing that your products are in the run. So, your product should be ahead of others. Your demand for your product should be higher than the demand for the rival company's product. And what are the measures you take to see that the demand is stable? So, all this we call it as the business level strategy. It is how a firm creates value for a defined activity on its market. It shows the way a firm competes, positions and masters its rivalry interactions and industrial structure. So, with the help of a business strategy, we will be knowing how the firm will be creating value for its activity in the market. It shows the way a firm competes. So, what is the way in which the firm is competing with the rival products? So, whether it will go in for a price war, so whether it will reduce the price, or whether it is giving an offer, or whether it is giving new features for the existing product, how it is innovating, whether it is changing the package of the product. So, all this it will come under competition. Then position. Position means what is the position of the product in the market. So, where does it stand in the ranking of demand, on the basis of demand, sales, etc., where the company stands, and then masters its rivalry interaction and industrial structure. So, what are the various ways in which the rival products are there in the market, how it is competing with the rivals, and what is the industrial structure necessary for competing. So, all these will be decided in this business level strategy. Now, let us have a look into what is business level strategy and what are the questions that must be considered with business level strategy. The first one is focusing on the customers. So, what do we mean by focusing on customers? So, whenever a business is providing a product or a service, ultimately it has to reach the consumer. So, in how the product is reaching the consumer and what is the consumer's reaction to it. So, all this should be the focus of the business level strategy. So, the consumer is the king and it is necessary for all the businesses to satisfy the king, and hence we say that the business level strategy should focus on the consumers. Then organizations need to consider what resources and capabilities their organization can offer. So, they should have a SWOT analysis of what are their strengths, what is their weaknesses, then what are the opportunities and what are the threats. So, when they develop a business level strategy, it will be after carefully analyzing all these points: the strength of the organization, the weaknesses, what are the opportunities and what are the threats. So, under the strength we have the resources. So, what are the resources available, whether it is human resources, financial resources or the technical resources, what is available, and the capabilities. So, they will be also having an assessment of the capabilities of the organization. So, how it can achieve higher financial resource, how it can hire an extra human resource, etc. So, all this they can have with an analysis of the SWOT. Then, third point is to scope out the competition and continue to provide a product or service that consumers choose over other similar products. Now, the main business level strategy, it should also try to answer this important question: how to scope out the competition. So, when there are too many products in the market, so there will be cutthroat competition between the similar products, and here we have to see that our product has a stable demand and it will be always ranked higher in the top position. So, we should ensure that customers choose our product over the products of the rivals. Then, the last strategy is the functional level strategy. Under the functional level strategy, it is to achieve its own goals, enhance operations and support the wider business level strategy. So, a functional level strategy, it will have its own goals, it will enhance its operations and then support the business level strategy. Now, the business level strategy, it will be supporting the corporate level strategy. So, the functional strategy examples include a company's marketing strategy. Now, what is this marketing strategy? So, what are the ways in which the marketing activities should be carried out, whether it is through large scale advertisement or through sales promotion, personal selling? What are the ways in which we have to market the product? Second one is financial strategy. Now, what is this financial strategy? So, in this financial strategy, we should understand that what are the ways in which the company is procuring the funds? So, what are the sources in which the funds will be procured? What are the rates at which it is procured? So, all this will come under financial strategy. Then, next one is production strategy. So, in this production strategy, so we have to decide what is the level of production of the company and how the level has to be achieved. Then R&D strategy. So, in this R&D strategy, the company will be deciding about what are the innovations in the existing products, how to increase the features of the existing product. So, research and development in that area should be encouraged. So, each of these separate strategies will require different tactical decisions to meet the wider corporate level strategy. Then, next, a key skill or quality for departmental leaders is responsible for functional level strategy is communication. So, with proper communication, so whatever strategy we do, it has to be communicated. So, it is the most important aspect of management. So, whenever there is proper communication about the goals of the organization, then it can be easily achieved. Understand how to translate organizational level strategy into strategies at functional level, and at the same time provide feedback when organizational level strategy needs to be revised. So, whenever we are having a strategy, we have to see that the organizational level strategies are converted into strategies at a functional level, and we also have to see that at the same time provide feedback. So, we have to give feedback to the organizational level when we feel that the corporate level strategy is not working, we have to give them the correct feedback why it is not working. Only then we can see that successful implementation of the strategies. Then next, whether you are making decisions at the corporate level, the business level or the functional level, to be successful in business, you need to become a confident strategic manager. So, whether it is at the corporate level, whether it is at the functional level or the business level, we need to make proper decisions. Then this requires an in-depth understanding of the customer's wants and needs, the business position in the market and their own firm's mission. So, we have to, in order to become a confident strategic manager, he needs to have a good analysis of what the customer wants and what is the business position in the market and the firm's vision and mission. So, next, all levels of strategy are equally important to meet the overall corporate goals. If you are someone looking to run their own business one day, you will need to inspire all business levels to work in symbiosis to reap business success in a competitive market. So, all levels of strategy, we cannot just say that only corporate level is important or only business level is important or only functional level of strategy is important. So, all the levels of strategy are important, and suppose you propose or you want to start a business one day, you will need to inspire all business levels to work in symbiosis. So, whether if you want to become a businessman in future, you have to see that all the business units work in coordination so that you will reach business success in a competitive market. With this, we have come to the end of this session. Hope you have all understood it. Thank you.